behalf of Kautilya cadets, I feel this is the right time to extend our sincere congratulations to all the participants who were successful in preliminary examination. And this is the right time to have a view on the changes in paper 5. So in paper 5, previously we have different concepts like logical reasoning, quantitative aptitude, and then questions on the basis of paragraph. So previously the paper 5, that is broadly divided into 3 sections: section 1, section 2 and section 3. In first 2 sections we have to answer the questions from quantitative aptitude and logical reasoning. So in particular in quantitative aptitude, so previously in the last papers we had questions from percentage, profit and loss, time and distance, time and work, simple interest, compound interest, and then ratio, proportion. There are some other topics like average. In case of reasoning, so we had basic models on number series, letter series, coding, decoding, then seating arrangement and blood relations. So these were the topics in previous papers. So in addition to these two, so we are having some questions on graphs, tabular forms, pie diagrams, so which can be considered as data interpretation. So we have to analyze the data, and basing on that you have to answer the questions. Broadly these questions are basing on graphs, bar graphs or line graphs, next pie diagrams, and then the next one is tabular form. So quantitative aptitude, some of the topics like percentage, profit and loss, ratios, average, time and distance, time and work, simple interest, compound interest, they come under category of quantitative aptitude. And then reasoning part, and then questions basing on data. Data may be in the form of graph, tabular form or pie diagram. But in addition to these, as per the syllabus provided in this year, so there is a chance of getting questions from statistics, and probably there may be more number of questions from statistics part. So this part already questions basing on the standard of 9th, 10th class school level standards, because if you go through the syllabus in detail, we have the concepts regarding probability, and then basic concepts of mean, median, mode, and in particular standard deviation, and some of the concepts regarding variations. So these concepts, they are new as compared to previous papers. Okay, and then a basic knowledge in trigonometry, including the concept of heights and distance, that is required. So previously, so they were not concentrating on these topics, and this year one has to put his efforts or put her efforts in trigonometry part, including the concept of heights and distance, and then statistics part, including the concepts of mean, median, mode, and then standard deviations. So actually these concepts they were dealt in the school level, in particular 10th class and 9th class standards. And of course the remaining concepts like graphs, tabular forms. So if you go through the previous papers 2012, 2014 like this, so we can get many number of questions regarding graphs, tabular forms and pie diagrams. The only concept is that this time you have to concentrate more on trigonometry and then basic concepts of statistics part. And coming to the concept of quantitative aptitude, we can have a basic knowledge in time and work, time and distance, but as we said earlier, simple interest and compound interest, and then the concepts regarding percentage, profit and loss, and the basic concepts of average. All these categories, they come under the category of quantitative aptitude, or in general some of the people they say in arithmetics part. So time and distance, time and work, average, ratio, proportion, percentage, profit and loss, simple interest, compound interest. So they come under the category of quantitative aptitude. And then regarding reasoning part, So we have to concentrate on blood relations, seating arrangement, number series and number sequence. These concepts they come under the category of reasoning part. So we can divide paper 5 into 3 major sections. The first one is quantitative aptitude, and the second one is reasoning part, and the third one is questions basing on the concept of paragraph. So in general, the questions in connection with paragraph, they are dealing with respect to financial or agricultural or any issues regarding state government, right? So these are the basic concepts. Next, the third one is what I said, passage analysis. So we have to observe the situation, that too a duly structured situation which is related to social issues or economic issues like that, and then you have to give some suggestions, or you can pass some remark by analyzing the content given in the paragraph. Okay, so one has to have a sufficient knowledge in the recent problems like social problems or economic problems or agriculture like that. So the third one purely depend upon the skill of a candidate regarding economic conditions or social conditions. In detail, if you go through some of the examples appeared in previous papers 2012 and then re-examination conducted in the year 2016, right? So these are the basic models. Suppose if you go through the problem in detail, this problem belong to the concept of partnership. There are 3 participants by name ABC, and here is the problem. ABC, they enter into a partnership with the investments in the ratio 2/3 is to 3/4 is to 4/5. So the investments of ABC, they are in the ratio 2/3, 3/4 and 4/5. And after 4 months, A increased his share by 50%, not by 50,000, by 50%, while B withdraw 1/3 of his investment. And these changes occurred after 4 months of the commencement of the business. And if at the end of the year the profit is 4,09,000, the question is what is the share of C? So what you have to observe is the total profit obtained at the end of the year is 4,09,000. Initially at the starting of the business, the investments of ABC, they are in the ratio 2/3, 3/4 and 4/5. So previously at the time of preparation for other competitive examinations like bank exams, railway exams or staff selection exams, definitely a student will be in search of some shortcut techniques. But here in this case, regarding Group 1 examination and the 2 paper 5, one has to give the solution and one has to write the detailed procedure as we did in the case of school level. So you have to give the detailed way, the detailed procedure, so that you can get 10 marks for each question. So one has to get a thorough knowledge over the subject in the beginning, and then there is a difference in the presentation, and there is a difference in the scheme of giving answer. So previously in other competitive examinations, we had a method of giving shortcuts, a method of using shortcuts to get the answer in a minimum time. But here you have to get the answer and you have to explain the procedure so that we can get 10 marks for each question. So what my suggestion is, before attempting the problem or before going for writing, first of all you have to recollect the problem, you have to recollect the suitable formula, and you have to go through the content in the data, and basically you have to give an attempt simply by spending 1 minute of time how to solve this problem. Suppose in this example, the investments of ABC, they are in the ratio 2/3, 3/4 and 4/5. Suppose the total investment is X. We can say that 2x/3, that is the share of A, and 3x/4, that is the share of B, and 4x/5, that is the share of C. So these are the investments of ABC. But these investments, they are constant for first 4 months. So as we know that there is a difference in the time period, because there is no change in the investment of C. As per the data, after 4 months, the investment of A, that is increased by 50% or half, and the investment of B, that is to be reduced by 1/3 of it. So for the first 4 months, you have to take 2/3 for first 4 months, that is 8x/3, that is the share of A. Next, about B, 3 by 4x that remains constant for first 4 months. So here 4 gets cancelled, we can get 3x as the total investment of B for first 4 months. And next one, the investment of C that is constant for 12 months. So you can take 4 by 5 into 12, or you can take 48 by 5 into x. So the investment of A that is used for 4 months, so 2 by 3 into 4, that is 8x by 3. And the investment of B that is used for 4 months period, so 3 by 4 into 4, here 4 gets cancelled, 3x. But after 4 months, the investment of A that is increased by 50% or half. So for that you have to take half of 2 by 3, half of 2 by 3. So that is 1 by 3. So previously it is 2/3 and it is increased by 50% or half. So you have to calculate half of this 2 by 3, that is 1/3. So 2 by 3 plus 1 by 3, that is 1. 2 by 3 plus 1 by 3, that is 1 or x. This remains constant for remaining 8 months. Next, the investment of B, which was 3 by 4x earlier, that is reduced by 1/3. So you all know that 1/3 of 3 by 4, that is 1 by 4. So 3 by 4 minus 1 by 4, because that is reduced by 1/3. So out of 3 by 4 you have to calculate 1/3, which is 1 by 4. So 3 by 4 minus 1 by 4, that is 2 by 4 or half. So this half of the amount that remain constant for next 8 months, right? So for the first 4 months, 2 by 3 into 4, that is 8x by 3. For the remaining 8 months, that is x into 8, because the investment of A that is increased by 50% or half of the initial value. So 2 by 3 plus 1 by 3, that is 1 or x, that remain constant for 8 months. So in total, this 8x by 3 and then 8x, the sum of these two, 8x by 3 that is for first 4 months and 8x that is for the remaining 8 months. So you can get in total 8x by 3 plus 8x, that is 32x by 3. That is the total contribution of A. Next, about B, 3 by 4x into 4, that is 3x, and this is for the remaining 8 months. For the remaining 8 months, that is reduced by 1/3. 3 by 4 into 1 by 3, that is 1/4. So 4x plus 3x, 7x. So the total share of A, that is 32x by 3, and the total share of B, that is 3x for first 4 months and then 4x for the remaining 8 months. So 3x plus 4x, 7x. Next, there is no change in the investment of C. The investment of C that remain constant for 12 months. So you can take 4 by 5 into 12. So that is 48x by 5. So therefore, you have to divide the yearly profit in the ratio 32x by 3, 7x and 48 by 3. We have to eliminate the components in denominator. So that can be possible by multiplying all the elements by using the number 60. So instead of taking the total investment as x, so 2 by 3x, that is the investment of A, that for the first 4 months. Next, for the remaining 8 months, it was 1/3 of x. So 1 by 3, 2 by 3 minus 1 by 3, that is 2 by 3 plus 1 by 3, because the investment of A is increased. So instead of taking this x as the investment, we can take another method, or we can adopt another method, so that the investments of A, B, C, they are in the ratio 2 by 3, 3 by 4 and 4 by 5. We can observe 3, 4, 5 in the denominator. So here we can select 60 as the LCM for these numbers. So first of all, as I said earlier, there must be difference. So we have to observe a difference in the representation of the answer. So we can start the problem like this. Given that the investments of ABC, they are in the ratio 2 by 3, 3 by 4, 4 by 5, right? If we take 60 as the investment. So here you have to mention 60 as the LCM of 3, 4, 5, the numbers which appear in the denominator. So if we take 60 as the investment, we can say that 2 by 3 into 60. 2 by 3 into 60. So that is 40 is the investment of A. Next, 3 by 4 into 60. So that is 45 as the investment of B. Next, 4/5 of 60. That is 48. So given that the investments of ABC, they are in the ratio 2 by 3, 3 by 4, 4 by 5. In order to eliminate the numbers in the denominator, and for the sake of convenience, we can select 60 as the investment. That means you are multiplying each of the three elements in the ratio with the number 60, because it gets cancelled conveniently. So we can get the investments of ABC, they are in the ratio 40 is to 45 is to 48. Or you can take the investment as 120, or you can take the investment as 180. We can select any multiple of 60 because 60 is the LCM of 3, 4, 5. So here we opted 60 as the initial investment, right? And out of, because we multiplied all the elements by using the fraction 60, by using the number 60. So the investments of ABC, they are in the ratio 2 by 3, 3 by 4, 4 by 5, or in other words 40 is to 45 is to 48. So that is the ratio of initial investments. As per the data, the investments remain constant for first 4 months. So we can take 40 into 4, that is 160, 45 into 4, that is 180, and of course 48 into 12, that remain constant because there is no change in the investment of C, right? So 576, that is the total value of C for the entire year. But the investments of A and B, they remain constant for first 4 months only. So 40 into 4, 160, and 45 into 4, 180. And after 4 months, the investment of A, that is increased by 50% or half. So we have to observe half of this 40. So 40 plus 20, 60, that remain constant for next 8 months. So 60 into 8, 480. The investment of A, that is increased by 50% or half. So half of 40 is 20. So 40 plus 20. So therefore the investment after 4 months will be 60, and that remain constant for the remaining 8 months. Next, about B. As per the data, the investment of B, that is reduced by 1/3. So we have to calculate 1/3 of 45, that is 15. Or we have to reduce the investment of B by 15, which will amount to 30, that remain constant for last 8 months. So for the first 4 months, it was 45, and later it should be reduced by 1/3 of it. So we have to calculate 1/3 of 45, that is 15. So 45 minus 15, 30, and that remain constant for next 8 months. So 30 into 8, 240. So here what you have to observe is the total investment of A for the first 4 months is 160, for the last 8 months is 480, and the sum of these two, that is 640. That is about A. Next, B. For the first 4 months, the investment of B, that is 180, and the last 8 months it is 240, and the total value, that is 420. Next, regarding C, there is no change in the investment of C. It remains constant for 12 months, so 576. So here what you have to observe is 4 gets cancelled. 4, 160, 105, and 144. So here 4 gets cancelled, and definitely you have to go for any further calculation, because in this one 160 we can write as 5 into 32, and 105 we can write it as 5 into 21, and if any number gets cancelled, we can make a cancellation here itself, right? But here 3 gets cancelled, but here 3 it won't get cancelled. So therefore 160 is to 105 is to 144, that is the final ratio of the profit. So here the total parts 160 plus 105, 265, 265 plus 144, 409. So here the total value is 409, and out of which you are interested in the share of C, that is 144 out of 409 into the total amount is 4,09,000 as per the data. So here what you have to focus is, majority of the participants they use it to select X as the total investment, but you have to give a separate way, or you have to give a special focus, so that you have to select 60 as a common factor, because 2 by 3, 3 by 4, 4 by 5, all the denominator factors are to be eliminated. So for that we multiplied all the 3 factors by using the number 60. So we got 40 is to 45 is to 48. So I can explain in detail. 40 is the investment for first 4 months. So 40 into 4, 160. And after 4 months that is increased by 50% or half of the value. So you can take half of this 40 as 20. So that should be increased by 20. So 40 plus 20 is 60. That remain constant for next 8 months. So 60 into 8, 480. So the total value of A, that is 640. Next B. This 45 remain constant for first 4 months. So 45 into 4, 180. And after 4 months, the investment of B must be decreased by 1/3 of the value. So you have to select 1/3 of 45 as 15. So 45 minus 15 is 30. 30 into 8, 240. Next, there is no change in the investment of C. So 48 into 12, 570. So all these elements, what I have mentioned orally, they should be presented in the form of a what I want to say, structure. So the investment of A for the first 4 months is 40. So 40 into 4. Next, the investment of A is increased by 50%. So you have to calculate 50% of 40 as 20. So 40 plus 20, 60. The 60 remains constant for next 8 months. So 60 into 8, 480. Therefore, the total investment of A, that is 160 plus 480, which is equal to 640. So that should be represented in the form of detailed steps. Next, B. The investment of B is initially 45. That remain constant for first 4 months. So 45 into 4, 180. Next, his investment is decreased by 1/3. So we have to calculate 1/3 of 45 as 15. 45 minus 15, 30. These 30 remain constant for next 8 months. So 30 into 8, 240. So all these elements, all these statements given by me, they must be expressed on paper. So 180 plus 240, 420, that is the investment of B. Next, as per the data, there is no change in the investment of C. So therefore, we have to take 48 into 12, 576. So the investments of ABC, they are 640, 420 and 576. And after suitable calculation, 4 gets cancelled. We can get 160, 105 and 144. But here 160, 105, 144, that give the final ratio, which cannot be simplified further. Here the total number of parts, they are 160 plus 105 plus 144. Right, that is 409. The total parts, they are 409, and we are interested in the share of C. So therefore the share of C is equal to 144 by 409 into total amount. So we can get this 1,44,000 as the share of C. So what you have to observe is, previously while appearing for bank examinations or railway examination or staff selection examination, we can go for a shortcut procedure. But here, whatever be the point you are making stress on it, you have to represent on the paper. And I can give one more example. 2 persons A and B, and of course this is also from previous paper I appeared. 2 persons A and B, they agree to finish a piece of work. So what you have to observe is, they agree to finish a piece of work in 5 days, and for that they can get an amount of 28,800. So they enter into a contract to complete a work in 5 days. For that they can get a remuneration of 28,800. But A alone can do the work in 10 days. Next, B alone can do the work in 12 days. So that show the capacity of A and B. A alone can complete the work in 10 days. B alone can complete the work in 12 days. But they promised to complete the work in 5 days. And for that, they took the help of another person, C. So here, A, B, C together, they completed that work in 5 days. So A alone can do the work in 10 days. B alone can do the work in 12 days. But with the help of C, A, B, C together, they completed the work in 5 days. And the question is, what is the share of C? And before going to the problem in detail, first of all you have to get an idea. We have to recollect the concept. Here, If you make a comparison between the efficiencies of A and B, no doubt A is more efficient than B, because A can do the work in 10 days, B can do the work in 12 days. So therefore A is more efficient than B. So therefore A is eligible for getting more amount. We know that amount must be divided according to efficiency of the candidate. Here A is more efficient because he can do the work in less number of days. So amount must be divided according to efficiency, or in the reverse ratio of number of days. So before going to the problem, we have to recollect the concept. Here A can do the work in 10 days, B can do the work in 12 days, but C can do the work in how many days, that is not given. So if suppose C can do the work in 2 days, we can take all these into consideration. But here A can do the work in 10 days, B can do the work in 15 days, C can do the work in how many days is not given. So first of all you have to calculate what is the time required by C alone. So therefore here what you have to write is 28,800 is the total amount. A can do the work in 10 days, B can do the work in 12 days, and we have to calculate C alone can do the work in how many days. Therefore we have to write in detail work done by A in 1 day, that is 1 by 10. Work done by B in 1 day, that is 1 by 12. Here one has to write all the elements, or you are not supposed to leave any gap like this. So you have to complete the total line. Work done by B in 1 day, that is 1 by 12. But how to calculate the work done by C in 1 day? In order to calculate the work done by C in 1 day, 1 by 5 minus 1 by 10 minus 1 by 12. 1 by 5, that is the work done by all the three, and from that work you have to eliminate the contributions of A and B. So here in other competitive examinations we can simply say 60 as the LCM, but here each line is valuable. So you have to give the procedure how you have to calculate the LCM of 5, 10, 12. So of course 2 gets cancelled, 5 gets cancelled. So no doubt the LCM is 2 into, you are not supposed to skip any step, you have to take all into paper. So the LCM is nothing but 60. So here we can take LCM as 60. 5 gets cancelled for 12 times, 10 gets cancelled for 6 times, and 12 gets cancelled for 5 times. So 12 minus 11, that is 1 by 60. Here 1 by 60, that is the work done by C in 1 day. So A can do 1/10 of work in 1 day, B can do 1/12 of work in 1 day. The work done by C in 1 day is not available in the data, so we have to calculate this one, 1 by 60. So here we have to write amount must be divided in the ratio of efficiency or in the ratio of 1 day work. How we can calculate? We can give a 1 day time to common to all of them. So amount must be divided in the ratio of efficiency. So 1 by 10, that is the work done by A in 1 day, 1 by 12, that is the work done by B in 1 day, and 1 by 60, that is the work done by C in 1 day. So here 60 is the LCM, or you can multiply each fraction by using the fraction 60, by using the number 60. So therefore the simplest form of this ratio, that is 6 is to 5 is to 1. 6 is to 5 is to 1. So therefore as per the data we can say that work done by A in 1 day, that is 1 by 10, work done by B in 1 day, that is 1 by 12, and you have to calculate the work done by C in 1 day as 1 by 5 minus 1 by 10 minus 1 by 12, which give 1 by 60. So here you have to mention amount must be divided in the ratio of efficiency, that is 1 by 10, 1 by 12 and 1 by 60. For the sake of convenience we multiplied all these fractions by using the number 60. So therefore amount 28,800 must be divided in the ratio 6 is to 5 is to 1. But here we are interested in the share of C. Here the total parts, they are 12. So 1 out of 12, that is 1 by 12, that is a share of C. So 12 gets cancelled, So what is the share of C? 2400. Here you have to conclude the share of C. You are not supposed to leave the fraction like this. You have to conclude the answer. Here 2400 is the share of C. So amount must be divided in the ratio of efficiency, and the efficiency of C that is not provided directly in the data, and we calculated the work done by C in 1 day as 1 by 60. So by using this we got the fraction 1 by 60 and we got the ratio as 6:5:1. We have to divide the total amount 28,800 by using the ratio 6:5:1. So each and every step what we recollect, that must be expressed on the paper. So next one more example from previous paper. So in a certain population, the total population is not given, the ratio of number of women to number of men, that is 11:1. So for every 11 women members there are 10 male members. So the ratio of number of women to number of men, that is 11:10. The average age of women is 34 years. So it doesn't mean the age of each woman is exactly 34. The average age of a woman, that is 34, and the average age of men, that is 32. And the question is find the average of the population. So before going to the problem we have to recollect the concept that must be represented on the paper itself. The two formulae what we can use is, the formula for average is equal to total of all the elements by number of elements. The average of certain quantities, that is total by number of elements. Or we can make use of the second formula, total of elements is equal to number of elements into average. But strictly speaking, you are not supposed to make use of these type of quotations also. In general, majority of the candidates, they can understand that this represent a number, but you are not supposed to make use of the symbols and notations like this. You have to write in detail. Here number of elements. In general, what do you do? Number can be taken as N0, NO, but here number of elements into average. So the formula for total is number into average. Next, as per the data, the ratio between women and men, that is 11:10. Next, the average age of a woman, that is given as 34 years, and the average age for a male candidate, that it is given as 32. So here we have to mention in detail total age of 11 women is equal to number of candidates 11 into average 34. So that is 374 years, that should be mentioned, because the age is given in terms of years, not in terms of months. So we are very particular about the unit also, right? The total age of 11 women is 11 into 34, that is 374. Next step, the total age of 10 male candidates, number of male candidates 10 and their average is 32, so number into average total, so 320 years, that is the total age of male members. So what you have to observe is 374 is the total of female members and 320, that is the total of male members. Next we have to write the total age of all 21 members. So in bracket 11 plus 10, 11 members female category, 10 members male category, 21 members is equal to, we have to add 374 and 320, that is 694 years, you have to mention it. So here the total number of candidates, that is 21, and the total age, that is 694, and here we have to calculate the average age is equal to total of all the candidates by number of candidates, right? Total of all the candidates by number of candidates, that give the average value. But it is not possible to get the exact value, because here 694, 694 is the total age of all the 21 members. But the average is given by total by number of candidates, right? 21 into 3, 63. And here we can get 6 balance followed by 4, 64. 21 into 3, 63. 1 by 21. So 694 is the total by number of candidates 21. Average formula total by number of candidates. So 694 by 21. So 21 into 3, 63. We can get 6 as balance. Again 3 times 63. We can get balance 1. So this is the final answer. So for that you have to mention 2 formulae. The first one is the formula for average. The formula for average, that is total by number of elements. And the second formula, total is equal to number into average, right? By using this we calculated the total age of male members, the total age of female members, the total age of all the 21 members. Then you have to calculate the average value by using the formula total by number of elements. So like this we have to mention, we have to specify each content in the data and each step what you have to follow, that must be represented on the paper. Next, all these questions what we discussed earlier, they appear in a single previous paper, and this paper contains the same question. Here is the problem. When a student P walks to school, he averages 90 steps per minute. Per minute he can take 90 steps, and the length of each step is 75 centimeters. He can take 90 steps in 1 minute, and each step is equal to 75 meters length. Next, he take 16 minutes time to go to the school. So here the distance travelled by the first boy P. In particular, he can take 16 minutes of time, 16 minutes time. Per minute he can take 90 steps. He requires 16 minutes of time, and in 1 minute he can take 90 steps. So 16 into 90, that gives the number of steps, and for each step he can cover 75 centimeters long. So therefore here 16 is the number of minutes, the time taken by him, and in each minute he can take 90 steps, and each step can cover a distance of 75 centimeters. So therefore the total distance covered by P is equal to 16 into 90 into 75. It is not necessary to calculate the total distance covered by P, because they are nowhere interested in the distance covered by P. Here what they asked is, another student Q going to the same school, or he has to cover the same distance, he can take 100 steps per minute. He can take 100 steps per minute, and he can take each step of 60 centimeters length only. So therefore we have to take one more step. The distance covered by Q, he has taken number of minutes, that is not required, that is not given, and in each minute he can take 100 steps, and each step is of length 60. So here we have to calculate the time taken by Q. The time taken by P, that is 16 minutes. In each minute he can take 90 steps. Each step can cover 75 centimeters length. So all the 3 components are given in terms of P, but in terms of Q, the time taken that is to be calculated. How long it take Q, how many minutes it take Q. So number of minutes is to be calculated, and in each minute he can take 100 steps, and for each step he can cover 60 centimeters. But as they are going for same school, as they have to cover the same distance, the distance travelled by both candidates P and Q, they must be equal. So therefore here we have to mention distances covered by P and Q must be same or equal. So therefore 16 into 90 into 75, that is the distance covered by P, which is equal to n into 100 into 60, that is the distance covered by q. So therefore, if we shift these two to other side, we can write 16 into 90 into 75 by 100 into 60 is equal to n. So here n stands for the number of minutes taken by q, the second person. And after suitable calculation, we can say that 25 gets cancelled for 4 times, for 3 times, and here 0 gets cancelled, right? Next 4 gets cancelled for 4 times, right? Next 3 gets cancelled for 2 times, and 2 gets cancelled for 2 times. So therefore, it requires 18 minutes time. So therefore, but we are not supposed to conclude here itself. We got n as 18, and again we have to mention that therefore it requires 18 minutes to q to reach the same school. So we are not supposed to conclude at any level. We have to explain all the concepts in detail. Here we got the calculation of n as 18, and therefore once again we have to specify q require 18 minutes time to reach the same school, right? We are not supposed to stop here itself, right? So like that, there must be some change in the approach. It's a subject is common for any examination, subject is common for all the levels, but only thing is there must be a difference in the procedure. And here one more question which appeared in section 2. For question number 1 to 5 they appear in section 1, and from question number 6 to 10 they appear in section 2, and it is from a previous paper relating to diagrams concept, that is data interpretation. The data is given in the form of a pie diagram. In case of pie diagram, we can get two concepts: the data in the form of degrees, because we know that in case of a circle the total angle must be equal to 360 degrees. Sometimes it may be given in terms of percentage. So there we have to observe that the total is equal to 100%. But here the total data that is given in terms of degrees. So what you have to observe is the following pie diagram show the monthly expenditure of a family. The monthly expenditure of a family for different accounts. Here F stands for food. For food it is 72 degrees. And for education 60 degrees. For house rent it is 90. And for savings it is 54 degrees. So all these factors they are given in terms of degrees. So if you get the total for all these 4 elements, 72 plus 60, 132, 132 plus 90, 222, 222 plus 54, 276. So here the total is given as 276. 54 plus 72, 126, 126 plus 60, 186, 186 plus 90, 276. So therefore the remaining amount m is equal to 360 degrees minus 276. We have to mention it clearly. The remaining amount m stands for others, that is 360 minus 276, that is equal to 84 degrees. So the data which is not given as the contribution of m, all the expenses they were given in terms of degrees. So what you have to observe is the value of m, that is 84 degrees. The total is 360 degrees, and out of that the amount spent for food is 72, and for education 60, and for rent that is 90, and the savings part that is 54. Right? Here we have to answer 5 questions, and all these 5 questions they carry 10 marks in total. So for each question you can get 2 marks. So basing on that you have to solve these questions. The first one is what percent, not what part, what percent of monthly income is spent on education. So the education part that is 60 degrees. Next, savings 54 degrees. Food items that is 72 degrees. So all the data that is available in terms of degrees, but you have to calculate in detail. For the first question, what percent of the monthly income is spent on education. Here generally while dealing the other examinations we can simply say that 60 degrees is what percent of 360, we can solve 60 into by 3%. But you are not supposed to give the answer directly. You have to clearly explain the procedure what you are adopting here. So here what you have to observe is in the first question, what percent of the monthly income is spent on education, right? Here we have to write in detail the total amount. If the total amount is 360 degrees, then the amount spent for education, it is 60 degrees. If the total amount is 360 degrees, then the amount spent for education part is 60 degrees. Here you have to mention percentage. So 60 is what percentage of 360 degrees. So 60 by 360 into 100. So here 100 by 6, or in the next step that is 50 by 3, or in the final level that is 16 by 3. So therefore what percent of the total amount is spent for education? So we have to mention 60 degrees is what percent of 360. So that is 16 by 3%. Next one, question number 2. Which two heads consume 40% of the income? So here you have to mention that 40% of the income is equal to 40% of 360 degrees. So the total income is 360 degrees because that is given in terms of degrees. You have to calculate 40%. So 40% of 360, that is equal to 144 degrees. 144 degrees. So here what you have to select is which two elements give the total as 144. Which two elements give the total as 144? Here 54 plus 90, that give 144. 54 is for savings part and 90 for rent. The sum of these two, that is equal to 144. Next, one more concept. 84 degrees plus 60, that is also equal to total value 144. So 84 degrees, that is meant for others, and 60, that is for education purpose. So the sum of these two components is also equal to 144 degrees. So for the second question, which two components give the total value 40%? So we calculated 40% out of 360 degrees, which is equal to 144 degrees. So we have to search for the combination of two elements which is equal to 144. The first one is 54 plus 90 and the second one is 84 plus 60. So these are the two. And next one for the third question, and third question also same model. Which two heads consume 45% of the income? So here for the third question, as we did in the case of second one, we have to calculate 45% of the total income is nothing but 45% of 360. 45% of 360, which is equal to 162 degrees. So here we have to calculate a set of two. We have to identify a set of two for which the total is equal to 162. So here we can observe that 72 plus 90, that is equal to 162. So 72 for food and 90 for the purpose of rent. So therefore 72 plus 90, that is equal to 162. So that is the only combination possible. So in case of second question, we can get two different combinations where the total is equal to 144. But in the case of third question, there is only one combination, right? So the two 90 plus 72. So for rent and food together, that is equal to 162 degrees. And the next one For fourth question, it is what percent of the monthly income is kept for savings part. So that is similar to the first one. So first of all, you have to identify the savings part is 54 degrees. The savings part is 54 degrees. So you have to calculate 54 degrees is what percentage of the total value 360 degrees. So the question is what percent of the total income is kept aside for savings part. So 54 degrees is what percent of 360. So 54 is what percent of 360. Here 0 gets cancelled, and of course 18 gets cancelled, 3 times 2 times. So for the next step we have to take like this, and the next step we have to complete this by using 15%. So therefore 54 degrees is what percent of 360. 54 by 360 into 100. So therefore 15% is allotted for the part savings part. Next, the last question is what percent of the monthly income is spent on food? What percent of the monthly income is spent on food? So therefore here 72 degrees is spent for food item. So 72 degrees is what percent of, generally a student appearing for bank examination and other competitive exams, he won't represent these. He can simply say 72 is nothing but 1/5 of 360. 72 is 1/5 of 360, and 1/5 is equal to 20%. But majority of the candidates, they know half is equal to 50%, 1/4 is equal to 25%, and 1/5 is equal to 20%. So they can simply answer the question 20%. But here you have to mention the total calculation part, right? So 72 degrees is what percent of 360? That is a question. 72 by 360 into 100. So for the first part we can cancellation 0, and for the second part we can cancellation. So therefore we can get 20%. So you are not simply supposed to say 72 is 1/5 of 360, so that is equal to 20% like that. You have to express the total content on the paper by getting sort of. Here what you have to remember is, for this question there are 5 sub questions and each question carry 2 marks. So 2 marks is sufficient. So 72 is what percent of 360. So like that you have to observe the level of the question, and the time allotted for each question is nearly 8 minutes or 6 minutes. So basing on that you have to attempt all the questions. And here is one more question from previous paper, and they are given the quarterly car production in India from August 2015 to July. So here we can observe that it is ended at July 2016. So we have to observe this. This is month of August 2015, September 2015, October 2015, like that they are given. But here what you have to observe is 2,50,000, 2,40,000, 2,30,000, like that. So the number of units produced, they were given on y-axis, and the month of production, that is given in terms of x-axis. So here what you have to observe is, so in case of October, that is just lower than the value 2,30,000. But in these two cases it is exactly coinciding 2,30,000. So that is the condition what you have to observe, right? So basing on that, from August 2015 to July 2016, the production of car given in terms of different units available. So here what you have to observe is during which month the production was lowest. So we can simply physically identify that the production is maximum in these two cases, and of course we can make a comparison, and minimum these two cases. So if you observe these two cases, we can simply say in the month of November 2015, in the case of November 2015, that is a slight difference between November 2015 and May 2016. So no doubt November 2015 recorded the lowest production. That is simply you can say by physical observation itself. There is no need of taking for calculation. Next, during which month the production levels are equal. So we can simply say that in the month of February and April. So these are the 2 months where the production are equal. So in the month of February and in the month of April of 2016, the production levels, they are equal. So in the first 2 questions we need minimum time. That can be contributed, that can be allotted for the remaining questions. What here is third one, by what percentage, by what approximate percentage. So here they are not interested in the exact value, they are interested in the approximate value. By what approximate percentage the production increased from March 2016 to March 2016 over February. So we have to observe the increase in the month of March when compared to previous month. So by using the data, you can say that in the month of March, so that recorded because between 2,40,000 and 2,50,000, we can take it as 2,45,000 in the month of March. In the previous month, that is 2,10,000. So in the month of February, that is 2,10,000. In the month of March, that is 2,45,000. So while attempting question number 3, you have to mention in detail. But what you observed, they must be expressed on paper like that. The production in the month of March, the production in the month of March, that is equal to 2,45,000 units, and the production in the month of February, that is equal to 2,10,000. So here what you have to specify is the increase in the production is equal to 2,45,000 minus 2,10,000. You have to specify each and every step. So that is 35,000, that is the increase in the production. 35,000, that is the increase in the production. But here we are interested in the percentage of increase. So the percentage of increase in the production is available. 35,000 is what percent of 2,10,000. So you have to make a comparison with respect to February and March. And the question is by what percentage the production in the month of March is increased when compared to February. So in the month of March, that is 2,45,000, and in the month of previous month February, 2,10,000. The increase is 35,000. So you have to give the increase in terms of percentage. So 35,000 is what percent of 2,10,000. So here 3 zeros gets cancelled. In the next step we have to specify 1 by 6 into 100, because 35 into 6, that is 210. And the next step we have to specify, that is 50 by 3, which is equal to 16 2 by 3 percentage. So the percentage of variation in the month of March when compared to previous month, that was equal to 16 2 by 3 percentage. So just like other examinations, you are not supposed to give an exact value simply by giving 35,000 is 1/6 of 2,10,000. 1/6 means 16 2 by 3%. 1/3 means 33 1 by 3%. So 1/6 is 16 2 by 3. So you are not supposed to give the idea directly, and whatever the technique available at your end. So what are the content available at your end, that must be expressed in terms of paper. So here our attempt is to give the procedure what you have to adopt, right? And one more example from previous paper and long back. So earlier we have discussed nearly 6 or 7 questions. All the 6 or 7 questions, they appeared from a single paper. But this example, this is from another paper. This is related to profit and loss concept. A shopkeeper mark the price of the article such that after giving 20% discount on it, he can get a gain of 12%. So after giving a discount of 20%, he had a gain of 12%. And the question is by what percentage above the cost price is the marketing price. So here what you have to specify is cost price, marketing price. So you are not supposed to write CP MP, like that. You have to give cost price, marketing price, and the last one is selling price. So these are the three elements what you have to observe here. The shopkeeper marked the price of the article after giving 20% discount on it. So here you have to mention the discount is 20%. 20% discount minus 20, that is discount. So you have to give. And after giving 20% discount, he had a profit of 12% plus 12%. That means he had a profit of 12%. So that is the point that should be specified. The data that is available, that should be given in the other form. The cost price is increased by 12% because he had a profit of 12%. But he allowed a discount of 20% on the marketing price, right? So here what you have to specify is, let the marketing price is 100. But as per the data, he gave 20% discount. So therefore, the selling price is equal to 100 minus 20. You have to specify. That is 80 rupees. The marketing price is, here you have to mention, it is 100 rupees. The marketing price is 100 rupees. And he had given a discount of 20%. So therefore, the selling price is 80. And as per the data, he had 12% gain. He had 12% gain. Therefore, the cost price is increased by 12% because he had a gain. So therefore, he sold the article at 12% gain over the cost price. So cost price into 112 by 100 is equal to 80. Cost price into 112 by 100 is equal to 80. So here, what you have to observe is, if you got a relation between only marketing price and selling price, we can assume this as 100. But here we have to establish a relation between cost price, marketing price and selling price. So it is better to avoid the middle number as 100. So if you take the cost price as 100, so here you mention, if the cost price, and I have to take in detail, if the cost price is 100, he had a profit of, so here what you have to mention is, he had a profit of 12%. So because if you have a relation between only two elements, we can take one as 100. But here we have to establish a relation between three elements. The first one is cost price, the second one is marketing price, and the third one is selling price. So take the cost price as 100. He had a profit of 12%. So therefore, selling price is equal to 100 plus 12, 112. Next. But as per the data, he gave 20% discount. So therefore, the marketing price, which is unknown, that is lowered by 20%, that is decreased by 20%, which become 80%, is equal to 112. So here the cost price is taken as 100, and finally he had 12% profit. So the selling price is 112, but he allowed a discount of 20%. So therefore, the marketing price is decreased by 20%. So the marketing price is decreased by 20%. So therefore, marketing price into 80 by 100. Therefore, if you get suitable calculation, 112 into 100 by 80. This 8 gets cancelled for 14 times. We can say the marketing price is 140. So here, what you have to specify is, the cost price is equal to 100, the marketing price is equal to 140, and finally the selling price is 112. So he had a profit of 12%, he gave a discount of 20%, and the question is, by what percent above the cost price is the marketing price, and you have to mention by observing these two, the cost price is 100, the marketing price is 140. So therefore you have to confirm the marketing price is 40% above the cost price. So what all the components, they must be expressed on the paper. So here we have to make a comparison between cost price, marketing price and selling price. And one more example, and of course this type of model appeared in a previous paper regarding time and distance. A train reaches the destination 10 minutes late when it drives at a speed of 40 km per hour, and 16 minutes late when it drives at 30 km per hour, right? So in the first case it is running at a speed of 40 km per hour, and in the second case it is running at a speed of 30 km per hour. So in the first case it is running late by 10 minutes, and in the second case it is running late by 16, as the speed is decreased from 40 to 30. In the first case it was late by 10 minutes, and then the second case it was late by 16 minutes. So what you have to observe is the difference of the time periods is 6 minutes. The difference of the time periods is 6 minutes. Suppose if you are appearing for any competitive examination, we can simply say that the LCM of these two, that is 120, 40 and 30, the LCM is 120. Suppose if you select 120 kilometers as the total distance, if you select 120 kilometers as the total distance, it requires 3 hours here and it requires 4 hours here. They differ by 1 hour, right? So if 1 hour is the difference, then the distance is 120 kilometers. If 6 minutes is the difference, what is the distance? So we can make a comparison directly by getting a command over the concept of LCM. We can select 120 kilometers as the distance. So if you cover 120 with a speed of 40, it requires 3 hours time. And if you cover 120 kilometers with a speed of 30, it requires 4 hours time. So the difference of the time periods is 1 hour. So 1 hour is the difference in the time if you assume 120 kilometers as the distance. Here the distance, the difference between the time periods is 6 minutes. So what you have to observe is 6 minutes is 1/10 of this one. 1 hour means 60 minutes. So this is 1/10. So you can straight away take 1/10 of 120, that is 12 as the answer. But in this examination we have to go for the detailed procedure. We are not supposed to take advantage of commanding over the condition by adopting shortcuts. So you have to give the detailed procedure. So what you have to specify is, first of all you have to give all the related formulae. So here the formula for time is equal to distance by speed. So you are not supposed to write d by s. So here we have to mention distance by speed. That is the formula for time, right? So here the time taken in the first case is equal to distance by speed. The time taken in the second case is equal to distance by speed. So therefore the difference in time d by 30 minus d by 40. So what you have to observe is when the distance is same, as the speed is lower in the second case, it requires more time. So the difference in the time periods is d by 30 minus d by 40, and you have to take 120 as LCM, that is 4d minus 3d. So d by 120, that is the difference. And here you have to mention the difference in time periods is 16 minus 10, that is equal to 6 minutes. 6 minutes time, right? So that is equal to 1/10 of the hour, because the speed is given in terms of kilometer per hour, 40, 30. So therefore the time period must be taken in terms of hours. So the formula for time period is distance by speed. So d by 30 in the first case, d by 40 in the second case. So the difference of these two, that is the d by 120, which is equal to this one. So therefore d by 120 is equal to 1 by 10 and d is equal to 120 by 10. You are not supposed to skip off the data directly and you have to give all the detailed procedures. So that is equal to 12 kilometers. But as I said earlier, if you go for a shortcut procedure, the LCM for these numbers 40 and 30, that is 120. And if you select 120 kilometers as the distance, the time taken, they are 3 hours, 4 hours and they differ by 1 hour. 1 hour is the difference if the distance is assumed as 120 kilometers. But here the difference is 6 minutes, or you can say simply as 1/10 of the hour. So you can select 1/10 of 120, that is 12. But here in this Group 1 mains examination, the concept of shortcut is not applicable. We have to give a detailed procedure. We have to mention the formula and we have to reproduce the given quantities, the time taken, distance by speed, the time taken, distance by speed. Next, the difference of these two, d by 30 minus d by 40, which is given as 16 minus 10, and that is to be converted into number of hours. So therefore d by 120 is equal to 1 by 10 and the distance is 12. So first of all, before going to examination, we have to identify the procedure what you have to adopt must be different here. Whatever be the method, whatever be the technique available at your end, that should be expressed on the paper. You are not supposed to adopt shortcut techniques, right? So even if you are familiar with the shortcuts, but for this purpose of main examination, you have to mention, you have to give the detailed way of all the steps. So if you go for the different models of different concepts like ratio proportion, problems and ages, simple interest and compound interest, we can give different methods or different procedures for all the remaining concepts. The one and only aim for this interaction program is, first of all, we have to bring the concept to your notice. First of all, you have to bring your what we want to say, your difference must be observed by adopting shortcut techniques and by using detailed procedures. So one has to go through the content in detail. So for that they can get 10 marks for each question. For each sub question they can get 2 marks. And one has to remember is, before going to the problem, first of all, by spending half minute time or 1 minute time, we have to recollect the total data. We have to recollect the total procedure available. So then we can write all the steps without any corrections. So what you have to remember is, all the steps must be presented in the neat form, a good form. So for that, corrections should be avoided. So for that, a warm-up exercise of a half minute or 1 minute is required before going to the solutions of every problem. So one has to go through the data and one has to recollect the content and one has to recollect the suitable formula in 1 minute. And the remaining 6-7 minutes we have to allot for the writing purpose. And we will meet in the next class by giving all the different concepts in detail. Thank you.